And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Keys to the Jet podcast live stream. We're here with Chad from Tier 1. I'm Red.
I'm Rhino.
And I'm Blackbeard.
Chad.
What's up, bro?
Morning, gents. Afternoon. What is it out there? What time is it? 9 something?
Yep.
Yeah, it's 9:22. We're a bit early, but it looks like there's 2 people watching already, which is great.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna photobomb you real quick. My sister-in-law and my niece are walking by. Hey,
Sweet.
come here and say hi. We're on a podcast.
Woo.
Yeah.
That's my sister-in-law. She's carrying twins. One of them looks just like me.
There's one.
Hi, baby.
There better be
yeah.
one.
I love you. I'll come find you soon. Okay.
Are you leaving?
I'm live.
Oh, bye.
Sorry, fellas.
No problem.
Oh, you're fine.
No
Yeah,
worries.
she's pregnant with my brother's kid, obviously, and I took her sonogram and I photoshopped my head on the baby.
Hell yeah. Those are always the best kind of pranks. Those are fun.
Didn't go over as well as I wanted it to, but whatever.
Yeah, it happens. Cool. So, you're right.
Yes. So
Yeah.
welcome to the Keys to Jet podcast. We'll go into let's talk about like who you are. What is your vision? Like, what's your background? And what's Tier 1 about?
Well, my name is Chad Cross, born and raised in a town called St. Charles, Missouri, right across the river from St. Louis. I grew up playing sports, wrestling, baseball, lifting weights, joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, was an infantryman, a machine gunner by trade. I was also a marksmanship instructor, did 4 years in the Corps, came home, was out about a year, and a buddy of mine that I was in the Marines with talked me into joining the Army, and that piece of shit turned around and left me there, and I ended up staying in the. He went back to active duty Marine Corps. I ended up staying in the Army for like 8 years. Deployed to Iraq, deployed to Katrina, Hurricane Katrina down in New Orleans after the hurricane for basically like an anti-looting type of thing. Came home, did some college, changed course, joined St. Louis City Police Department. Been there for 15 years. Spent the last 5 years on the SWAT team, and I'm actually resigning next week to run Tier 1 full time.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Quitting your day job. So you went
Yeah,
green,
brother. Time to pursue the dream 100%.
You went green to green. How was that? What were the differences? You know what I mean? Because normally people go green to blue or blue to green.
Yeah, it was I'll always be a Marine at heart. The Army, there was a lot of things that I liked, but so this was a reserve unit, so I didn't go active duty. So anytime you're in any kind of, it's a completely different culture. What was the best about it was just way more practicality. There wasn't the hurry up and wait bullshit that the military is notorious for, and they're so fucking dumb. They never stop and think like, hey, maybe this is why we're losing such high quality people, because they really don't have the tolerance for the nonsensical bullshit.
You can't.
Hey, we got a zero.
Sense.
You
Use
can't.
the word common sense.
You can't, and that just foments an environment where people you make it more likely that people are going to screw up. And for some reason, it's just like never clicked with them. When you treat professionals like professionals, they rise to the occasion. When you treat people like children, they act like children. The infantry was the worst. I mean, hey, if we had a 0-6 formation, you better be there at 4:45. And stand at parade rest until you pass out, on your face. It just, people get tired of that shit and they end up leaving. But so the Army side, I was in a unit with a lot of guys that were from different police departments and stuff, and a lot of solid guys, man. I deployed with a really, really good unit.
Hell yeah. So like reserve, it was weekend warrior type stuff. Like, so more pizzas.
Yeah.
More pizzas, less chow hall.
Yeah. It was
more hot dogs.
I was based down in Springfield, which is down like mid southern Missouri, about a 3-hour drive from me. And Yeah, it was a solid unit, man. I deployed with those guys in 2003, and I still keep up with them to this day. 20 years later.
Hell yeah. And so you said you were on the police force, correct?
Yes, St. Louis City.
That's cool, man. My father-in-law, he retired as a police officer where I'm from out in Arizona. And he was there. I think he was on it for like 25 years or something like that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, my dad retired almost 30 years. He retired as police chief.
Damn. Yeah, I never made it past patrolman. Never really had any desire. A lot of guys ask, are you going to take the sergeant's test? I guess because of my military background, I was an NCO in the Marine Corps. But, in the military, when you're an NCO or a staff NCO or a ranking officer, you actually have, the ability to supervise people, and, you have a lot more control. And ideally, you'll be a solid leader. Well, these police departments promote people that have no business having any kind of, leadership or anything of that nature over anybody. It's so I didn't want to be a sergeant and then not have any kind of sergeant authority, so to speak. You know what I mean?
It was a big good old boy club there in the police corps.
Yeah, you do see a lot of that, and there's something to be said for it. Like any unit you're gonna get into, you're gonna naturally. It's just a human nature thing. You naturally form cliques. You naturally gravitate towards people that you're more like, and this and that. When it comes time to be on a team, you put all that stupid shit on the back burner and you focus on the fucking mission. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in these police departments, those cliques become more important than accomplishing the mission, and that just fractures a unit. The cool guys and this and that, and I don't drink, I don't party, I don't have side pieces and all this bullshit. So I wasn't the cool guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an unfortunate aspect, but I've seen it in the military. It's not as bad in the military because you got people that know what the fucking deal is, saying, hey, negative, that shit ain't gonna fly. You're either a part of the team or you're not.
Right, regulate that shit.
Yeah, 100%. Somebody's there to to put a squash on that bullshit if it arises.
So what
That's
year
cool,
was it
man.
when you joined the Marine Corps?
1995.
In the 1900s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah, 1995. I was in. I could still say as part of the old Corps. And we like to tease the newer guys that went through the crucible and all that shit. But it's and unfortunately, from everything I hear from guys that are still in, or my buddy that tricked me into joining the Army and then left me, he's like, hey, be glad you got out, man, because the culture has changed so much. It would have driven you nuts.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I heard all the military branches are like that.
Yeah, and I get it, man. People change with the times, but there are things that are in place, whether they be traditions or the Marine Corps having that that legendary level of discipline. Everybody says, well, we're brainwashed. I'm like, yeah, I'm brainwashed. I know if this, I tell people that are in charge of me, I'm like, listen, I will always be a Marine fucking infantryman at heart. If you tell me to do something, you better be 1,000,000% sure you want me to do it, because once that switch is flipped, you're like a Terminator. That's it. There's no coming back. You have to have that mentality, and that's why we're such an effective fighting force, because we believe in that we're the most lethal fighting force on the planet.
Yeah.
People don't understand it, and they use the word brainwashed as a pejorative. I'm like, well, yeah, I do believe in myself, and I believe in my teammates, because we're that fucking good. You should try it sometime.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Like self-confidence fucking goes a long way.
Yeah, confidence in yourself, confidence in your leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing these police departments just miss by a mile is, I mean, for the most part, I can't think of my last lieutenant in SWAT before the current one is a retired command sergeant major in the Army. He was super locked on, knew how to run a unit. He let the guys run it, and he just kind of was a supervisor,
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have his fingers in everything, didn't micromanage. He let professionals be professionals. But a lot of the vast majority of these commanders have no kind of military background, and it doesn't matter what branch you're in. It's all kind of structured the same way. You earn your way up, and you can see the difference. I mean, it's night and day. And for the life of me, I believe that any police chief should have to go to some kind of like war college that they put military officers through to understand how effective and vital proper leadership is. You guys come from the same background I do. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why, I think that's also why a lot of companies and businesses are so, gung-ho on hiring veterans, because they know, hey, this is the time we start. This is and we're there. There's no questions asked. That stuff is so effective. And with our company, our goal is to grow, and it's just a matter of time. We're doing really well, but we're going to hire disabled veterans, first responders, people that come from that background, so people can see what a well-oiled machine looks like.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Like going back about like the how things are changing, like the Air Force it's horrible now. Like, I mean, like when I came in, like it was, your first day on the job, you see that staff sergeant or the NCO, and like that's like the crusty guy that knows everything, and you follow his lead.
Yeah.
But he also like disciplines you, right? Like you learn from your mistakes, and they're hard on you, and you can't do that nowadays. You have to be like super nice, and it's ridiculous.
It's all this disgusting ideology that has permeated the military. Military and children should be the last places where there is a hard line that nobody crosses when it comes to the military, when it comes to discipline, morale, effective leadership, mission accomplishment. Nothing should compromise that shit. Yeah. And when I can say that for the Marine Corps, all my time there, I was in about, I think, 4 different units. I only ever saw one officer. I wouldn't say he was incompetent, but he's just kind of a doofus. I mean, the Marine Corps officer program is legendarily difficult, and especially the infantry officer stuff. And I think it's safe to say that all the branches have a very difficult process to become an officer. But you start letting these, people that they just don't look at the logical conclusion of the shit they're pushing. And now we see the results of it. Mm-hmm. A breakdown in discipline, a breakdown in leadership, a breakdown in, everything, and the weirdo shit that they're pushing on kids and stuff now. It's just like, there's nothing off limits anymore. And you get superpowers like China. And I mean, China's like going around. You remember that old G.I. Joe episode where they were going all over the planet, extracting DNA from like the greatest warrior, like Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, the Caesars, and they made Serpentor. Yeah. Probably before your guys' time, but I remember they're like scuba diving, going into underwater tombs and shit. China's making like genetically superior fighting machines, and we're doing transgender shit. And this isn't me slandering trans. I don't give a shit about transgenders, but there are times and places, hey, listen, I was in the grunts, okay? I'm humping a fucking Ma Deuce 25 miles. I need somebody that can carry their weight. I need somebody, the same thing in SWAT. When we're all kitted up and shit, our breachers were over 300 pounds. If that guy goes down, I got to grab him by the strap and drag him out backwards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We can't compromise certain things, but we do.
Yeah. While they want inclusivity, the ideology, they shouldn't push certain ideologies into the military, because we should have a standard. We want a fighting force, not somebody who's gonna let their beliefs get in the way of defending the citizens of the U.S. You know what I mean?
It's like you take a granite rock and you purposely put cracks in it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's going to eventually, enough cracks and it's going to fracture. And that's the same way you destabilize a country and a people. And America, is still an experiment. You know, we're only a couple hundred years into this experiment, and outside nefarious people, mainly China, that infects every, you know, TikTok in China is educational. TikTok in America is meant to rot your fucking brain. And these idiots just eat it up. You know, they can't get enough of it. It's you know, it's like the old what was our favorite shit in the MRE, the old fucking Mars bar or whatever. Anyway, yeah, and it's just Yuri Bezimov, that KGB defector, told us this decades ago. He says this is exactly how they're going to do it, and it's all playing out right in front of us. You know, you feed it. You don't give people a giant plateful of it. You feed it to them spoonful by spoonful. Before you know it, boom, completely. You know, it's permeated it's permeated every aspect of our society, of our institutions, of our military. And it's like it's one of those things you don't even notice it. If you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you don't see those subtle changes in your physique. Don't, you know, work out, eat properly, don't look at yourself for a month, then go look in the mirror. It's like, holy shit, you look completely different. They're doing it in a very subtle, you know, way. And you're seeing the results of it now. I saw a thing the other day, 70% of our military is like overweight. And I'm like, holy, that is, I never saw a fat Marine, saw some fat sailors. I wasn't around enough Air Force people to see any fat airmen.
We were fat.
We're right here.
We're all right here
on the flight line.
Yeah. Now, and I mean, look, bros, this is all by design. All by design. You know, the food that they're pushing in the military now. I mean, it's always, you know, it's legendarily, it's always been fucking slop. You know, but you can go when you're in the fucking grunts, you can go in there and eat a dozen large pizzas a day. When you're humping 25 miles, you're going to burn that shit right off. But you know, these police departments too. St. Louis City PD has like 0 physical standards. Once you're out of the academy, you know, you can look like fucking King Kong Bundy and nobody's going to say a word to you. But if you have, you know, if you have visible tattoos, so
yeah,
you know, it's disgraceful, man. I mean, everything you can do to destroy a people and a citizenry is being done, and it's being promoted by, like, you know, the highest levels of government too, which is even more tragic, you know.
I think the one thing that like, go ahead and call me weird, but like in the Air Force, they now they allow you to put, like, just leave your, like, walk around with your hands in your pocket in uniform. To me, that's like a huge, like, that doesn't look professional, you know. Like when we were in, it was no hands in pocket. You had to look professional. You had to wear your hat at all times. Like, you had to look
for real, on God,
like the military. And then now it's like their uniforms are falling apart. Their hands are in their pocket. They look like shit, and it's like, that's not a professional image. You look like
it's that's funny you mentioned that, because I got a great story about hands in pockets, strictly forbidden in the, you know, in the Marine Corps. And I was walking across the grinder. It was, you know, 0 dark 30 or whatever, really fucking cold. Then I'm trying to get to the chow hall, and the staff sergeant sees me with my hands in my pockets. And he was a really nice guy, which is, it's not typically how it went with your staff NCOs. And he's like, hey, PFC Cross, come here for a minute. Yes, staff sergeant. He said, if I ever see your hands in your pockets, I'm going to fucking rip them off. Yes, staff sergeant. I fucking bugger off, you know.
Hell yeah.
And now there are times where if it's an issue of practicality, I can understand it. If you're in the field, if it's bitter cold, you don't have the proper gear, I want to keep my gun hand and especially my trigger finger warm enough that they function properly. So there's a time and place for it, but when you're in garrison, no. You know, and that's the thing, man. You know, it's it's the little things. People don't understand that every little tiny, you know, bit of discipline or cleaning it's because if you don't do the big things, you won't do the little things. I can't trust, you know, I went to I went to a range about a week and a half ago and trained some policemen on the AR. Okay. And I don't know if any of them had military. military backgrounds or anything, but
Yeah.
before we started, I was like, let me see everybody's weapon. Bone dry, grimy. I was like, gents, this shit ain't gonna fucking fly. Okay. I know you work in Bowling Green. I know that there's like a 0% chance you're ever gonna get into a gun battle. But trust me, when your gun is this fucking grimy, you're gonna get into a gun battle and it's gonna go down. You know, so it's little shit like that. Supervisors not supervising, and before they left, you know, my buddy is the chief of the department that ran it. We made sure everybody cleaned their shit. Like, I'm like, hey, bro, this is how you break down the bolt. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. You know, these things have to be operational. You know, so, but yeah, you just don't.
Especially
Yeah,
ARs, they'll jam.
yeah.
They'll jam like a motherfucker.
I mean, it sounded like when I was working that bolt, I was like, I'm like, bro, I almost lost my shit, but I was like, okay, reel it in. You're not an NCO anymore. You know, there's better ways to talk to people other than motherfucking them and this and that.
Is there though?
But yeah, I can't. No, there's not. You know, you can't stress it enough, man. And even when I was on SWAT, you know I could be overbearing, but there's always a reason for it. You know what I mean? Like, we got to police each other. And, you know, if I pick up your rifle and I finger fuck that bolt and my finger comes out black, bro, you're dropping the ball. You know, because we got into a lot of shootings, man. You know, a lot of call outs, exchanged a lot of gunfire and stuff. And, you know, it's like a lost art, man. You know, the idea of disciplining somebody now is just seen as such a negative thing. And it's just like, okay, man, I mean, well, you're going to see the results of that too.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking ridiculous. All the changes that are going on, like everywhere in the fucking U.S.
Yeah, I mean, schools, institute. I mean, everything, man. It's just like, well, but here's the thing. You know, change is normal. You know, every society throughout history has, you know, especially America, we're like the youngest nation in the world still. There's going to be growing pains. Yeah. But there are certain things throughout history that have been hallmarks of a civilization in decline, and we're starting to show some of those. And one of the big ones is, and I'm going to preface this by saying, I don't care if you want to switch genders. I don't. You keep your fucking hands off of kids and you stay out of their bathrooms and stop trying to compete against women. You know, if you can't cut it as a dude, oh, well, listen, I've been competing in combat sports for a long time. I've had my ass whipped before. I'm not going to tuck my pecker between my legs, you know, shave my beard and, you know, call myself Alice so I can go compete against fucking girls. So I just got to take it on. Yeah, I got to take it on the chin and get better. I got to put in the work to get better, you know, and the transgender thing has been the beginning of the end of multiple civilizations. And a lot of people don't know that. You know, it's a historical thing. I don't think it's obviously not something new. It's just now with the propagation of social media and all this trash, you get people, and you got to remember human nature, like Marcus Aurelius said, what is its nature? You know, so in order to understand what we're trying, I don't like to say fighting against, but there are things I'm going to fight against, you know. Like I said, keep your hands off of fucking kids and stop fucking with the military. I will push back on that. And I would never suggest violence. You know, you get all these dweebs on Facebook and this and that. They think they're going to, I'm like, look, I am violence, motherfucker. You don't want to go there. I promise. You don't know what you're asking for. Don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Oh, that's good you bring up Marcus Aurelius, because all that stoicism stuff I've been looking into and fucking, it's hot shit, man. That is,
I think
good.
If you don't own a copy of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, you are doing yourself a great disservice. In my opinion, and the top 3 most brilliant minds in human history. Marcus Aurelius, David Lee Roth, and probably Einstein, or maybe Larry Flint. All of them massive contributors to society.
Yeah, that's helped me a lot with all the stoic. Just I've had like traits like that in the past that I didn't really know about it, but when I started looking into it and like knowing all the passages and shit, it's changed me how I think and feel about everything.
Is it in an audiobook? Because I don't like to read stuff.
It's out there everywhere.
For Christ's sake, You lazy millennial fucking worm.
Yeah, I'm a lazy fucker. No, I get it. I get it.
I'm sure it is. It's
That's the Air
not.
Force
It's
in
not
us.
that long of a read,
No, it's not.
but it is fucking. There is more brilliance in that one
Mhm.
book than probably anything else I've ever read. This
Sweet.
is the key to living your life, you know. And he nailed this shit centuries ago. And you got to remember, especially now, because I fall into it too. I lose my shit way too easily. I do. And now that we're in this age of hyper emotional reactions to everything, it's just I got to remember, you know, working the streets of St. Louis for 15 years. You know, there's been a couple times where I've lost my shit on people, and every time I gotta talk myself back out of it, and I feel embarrassed afterwards. I'm like, I shouldn't have let this person that has no bearing on my life or my day get me to the point where I react. I had to be embarrassed for myself, you know. And that philosophy, I made it all that time, and I only ever sustained 2 complaints. One guy, a drunk, said I broke his phone during an arrest, and another kid said that I told him I was gonna smash his head in. And I was like, well, I never fucking said that. And then they played the body cam video, and sure as shit, I did. So I couldn't deny it, but I was like, well, I didn't do it, so obviously I didn't mean it. You know, I can say anything, but I didn't do shit. But yeah, it helps, you know, because everybody is so sucked into Facebook and Instagram and all this trash, and you constantly find yourself reacting emotionally. And especially all you guys can relate to this coming from the military. You don't react emotionally. We react objectively and strategically,
Rationally.
without emotion. Yeah, you know, if you watch, you know, Jocko, you know, he's I love Jocko. I think his energy drinks suck, but I still buy them. But he said, you know, there's times where they're all right. Listen, no matter what, if you're a veteran, I'm going to support you. Even if I don't like your shirts, your mission, you're a veteran. You know, we come from the same background. We chew the same dirt. I'm going to do whatever I can to support you. Jocko said, you know, they would be in, you know, firefights or some really hairy situations, and guys would be like, oh my, you know, there's this. We're in an L-shaped ambush where you know, they got the high ground, and Jocko's just like, good. And they're like, what do you mean good? You know, they want the gunships to come in and the Spectres to do strafing runs and shit. You know, they want armored columns coming up, and it's just like, it's like when Chesty at Chosen Reservoir was surrounded. He's like, good. Now we're fighting them every direction. Now we know where they're at.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you have the emotional reaction, you know, you're going to choose the wrong contingency plan. If you think rationally and strategically, you know, boom, you figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, emotions can create a fog, you know.
Emotionally, is Officer Cross saying, I'm going to smash your fucking head in. Strategically, I should have been like, yeah, bro, I don't want those hands because you're a 125-pound fucking ghetto goblin. And I'm sure you knock people out left and right, you know.
My bad,
you
bro.
go, brother.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, I got sucked into it.
With all that being said, so tier 1, like what does it stand for? And like what was your like vision behind it? Like what was your motivation to like create your own company?
He's the one-handed god.
TYR, it's actually pronounced TYR. TYR, yeah, if you checked out the website, most of our stuff is Norse inspired. I love the Norse ethos, the mythology, you know, but the samurai stuff too. You know, I live by the Bushido. I got the Bushido code tattooed on my leg. I got a massive Japanese back piece. I'm covered in Japanese tattoos. To me, it's a way of life, especially in a day and age where nobody seems to have any kind of moral compass, any values, any kind of guidance at all. Everything's just, you know, it's you know, instant gratification. It's constantly chasing dopamine and stuff. You know, I live a very disciplined lifestyle, and we're trying. So that the idea behind it is we're using proceeds to help veterans and first responders that have I don't like to call it PTSD, because when you add that word disorder, I feel like it's a pejorative and a crutch. You know, post-traumatic stress, all 4 of us have it. You know, you can get it just from life experience. You don't have to be a combat vet. You don't have to have been in a gunfight or anything else. Regular everyday life is
Loud
tough enough
airplanes.
sometimes. Yeah, it's but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has been the best therapy I've ever done. I've talked to counselors, I've done this and I've done that, and it works for some people. But getting in there and physically pushing yourself against another person, there's something about it. Like, believe when you're fighting off a choke or a Kimura, or your joints are about to explode, I'm not worried about the shit I saw in Iraq or the shit I did at work. I'm trying not to get choked out. It gives you a different perspective.
It's good cardio.
And there's that too. But it's I come from a wrestling background, and so I know what hard work is. Wrestling is every bit as hard as anything I ever did in the military. And that, you typically practice for an hour and a half. Whereas, if we're doing a hump, if we're moving, from mountaintop to mountaintop, that's an all day thing. So that mental toughness will always be there. We're trying to get people back into that mindset of resilience, that you have it in you to get past this stuff. And better yet, we're there with you. If you're going through hell, we're going with you.
Yeah.
That was on the back of one of our shirts. But what prompted me to do this is I actually started a nonprofit with a fellow Marine Corps war veteran buddy of mine. And we had a gym and everything. And unfortunately, it seemed like we just had kind of like different visions for where we wanted to take it. He did most of the work on the business end. So basically said, hey, dude, this is all yours. Still going to send people your way, this and that. I'm just going to have to branch out on my own. Now I have complete creative and business control of what we do. And I've seen too many people fall between the cracks when it comes to having it's the mental and emotional anguish that hurts the worst.
Mhm.
I came out pretty military wise. I had my feet are flat. I'm almost deaf in my left ear. I had some partial tendon and ligament damage in my right hand from something. Maybe some back problems from being in the grunts for so long. But other than that, I'm pretty scot-free. The police department, and this is something that people don't know, first responder suicide rates are 18 a day. Okay. We all know that veterans are 22 a day. 18 a day. That's unacceptable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Dang,
I was
that's
about,
high.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know that. And, I've had teammates, on SWAT that have had to like leave the life, man, because it's just 100 miles an hour all the time. These departments do not take care of you. Okay. I have my own personal stories. I'm not going to voice anybody else's opinion. They can do that if they want. But a friend of mine he's a retired policeman. He was shot in the line of duty. He's a counselor now. And he said they've been doing these studies for decades that show 85% of the stress and anxiety you experience as a police officer comes from the department itself. I'm like, well, yeah, the St. Louis City Police Department is a fucking case study on that. It's unbelievable that they just, at some point you have to realize they just don't care. I'm sorry. I hate to say that, but I've seen enough of it, and I've been on the receiving end of it enough times to know that these people just don't care. And I got tired of seeing people I cared about fall through the cracks. I've had close friends commit suicide, and these people are suffering. When you suffer mentally and emotionally and spiritually, you're naturally going to suffer physically too.
Mhm.
And we just had a young guy, a detective, pass away a few days ago. Okay, I think he was in his 30s, and I don't think I knew him, but I saw a picture of him, and you know what? Hey, I'm going to be the bad guy here. He was really overweight, which is really, common in, policing now, because of your constant elevated stress, your constant elevated cortisol, which triggers the body to crave the worst types of food. You're stuck in this vicious cycle. And, they're not educated on, proper training and nutrition and this and that. Our sleep cycles are so fucked up. There's times where I would go a couple weeks with little to I was forgetting people's names. Okay, guys I've known for 10 years. Everybody became bro, even fucking girls. Because I'm like, what's up, brother?
Yeah.
I've known you for 15 years, but I don't remember your name because I'm a piece of shit. You know, and you're expected to make split-second decisions under duress running on fumes. Okay. I mean, there's been times where we've been up for 30 something hours on a call out trying to take in murder suspects that are shooting at us and shit. And I'm like, I'm on my third bang, you know? So it's basically we're police departments, fire departments, and the military's dropping the ball on too many people. And I'm sick and fucking tired of it. So we're doing something about it. That's basically the bottom line of our mission.
The whole physical thing, like I've in a little over a year now, I've taken off 80 pounds of myself and working out and getting better and better throughout the days and shit. And I'm surprised. I feel better now than I ever did in my life. Like physically.
Bro, I'm 46 now. Okay. I'm like 5'8", about 175 pounds. I have abs year round. Everybody's like, oh, I'm like, motherfucker, come train with me. Okay. While you're out, you know, you're on your fucking 15th Pall Mall, you know, you're drinking, you're eating like shit. Dude, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and doing 125-pound kettlebell swings all day and eating nothing but steak and eggs. I fucking earned this shit, you know? And what I am working on, another thing we're going to do with the company is we're going to attach a training program to it that you can, you know, they'll have a link on the website. I've been flying around I just got back from Las Vegas. I flew out there and trained.
I would love that, dude. That would be fucking awesome.
Dude,
especially kettlebell training. Like that would be one. I love the kettlebells. I would love to do that.
Dude, they're super versatile. I have a pair of 100s and I have a pair of 124s. You can do so much. They're not the be all end all, but they are super versatile. It's another tool in the toolbox, you know, like with the fighting thing, I prefer to be you know, there's guy I've been training at the academy, you know, for ever since I've been on. And I always tell somebody, I'm like, hey, this fight goes where I want it to. If I want to take it to the ground, there's nothing you can do to stop that double leg, brother. Because if you're going to carve me up on the feet, I ain't going to stand up with you. I'm going to snatch that leg up and dump you on your ass. Or if they're better on the ground, I'm going to be like, there's no way you're taking me down. So it's just having more tools in the toolbox. And so the training program, you know, I have studied this shit for thousands of hours. You know, I've been a lifelong athlete. I've always been probably an unhealthy obsession with learning about nutrition, how the body works, how it all works in concert together. And one thing people aren't aware of is how much food has a drug-like effect on your body mentally. When we eat carbs, bro, yeah, and that's why it is so dangerous. Listen, I do a cheat meal about once a week. I'll go eat, you know, usually some Mexican and then maybe a Blizzard. I got to fight them cravings the rest of the fucking week. It's just like, now I know what it's like to be a crackhead. It is horrible. It takes every ounce of discipline to drive past Dairy Queen and not stop and get like 2 fucking Blizzards, you know? It's, but it is such a downward spiral. Once that shit gets its hooks in you, man, you're in a bad way, man. And I have the people that follow my program and I don't like to call it a diet because that seems like a temporary thing. It's an eating pattern. It has changed their lives so positively, so dramatically, you know, so much so that a friend of mine flies me to Vegas to train her son.
Damn.
You know, the results speak for themselves. And you look now, you get the FDA and all these people that are in charge of our health promoting Lucky Charms for dinner. That's straight up fucking evil, man. That is some, you know, eat less meat. Great. Now I'm going to eat 2 pounds of red meat a day because you said not to do it. You know,
after this, we can link up and I'll get some training.
Yeah, I was going to say, Blackbeard's obviously losing all the weight, but if you want to use Red and I as guinea pigs for your program,
here, you know, my program is so simple. It's rooted in evolutionary science. It's rooted in human biology. It's a I'm going to plagiarize a guy named Dr. Anthony Chaffee. The guy he's a neurosurgeon, so he's a genius, brainiac, okay, literally doing brain surgery and shit. He's also a stud freaking athlete. The dude is huge and jacked. And the way he worded it, it clicked with me. He said a species appropriate diet. I was like, that makes so much sense. Okay, so I go all the way back through evolution, Neanderthals, Australopithecus, all these things. The human brain exploded in size, and we actually grew bigger, taller, and faster with the incorporation of animal meats and animal fats, specifically animal fats, which have been completely demonized for decades now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know where that shit came from? The guy that had the most horrible effects ever on the American populace was this fucking asshole named Ansel Keys. He was the main driver behind demonizing fats and promoting sugars and stuff as healthy. Then we had, everybody's familiar with Kellogg's cornflakes, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Kellogg was our attorney general at one time. Well, he was one of those Seventh-day Adventist weirdos that don't believe in eating meat because, according to them, and there is some truth to this, eating meat will increase your sex drive via the cholesterol you get from red meats, which is the building block of all the hormones in your body. Okay, another thing, cholesterol is every cell membrane in your body is a cholesterol membrane. But avoid cholesterol, right? Go ahead and avoid cholesterol and face an agonizing fucking death. Okay? So Kellogg invented cornflakes for breakfast. And that's where the American obesity rate went skyrocketed. Okay? A species appropriate diet is ideally ruminants. A ruminant is a bison, a cow, an elk, the ones that process the vegetation, the way it's dispersed through their body makes it bioavailable to humans, Animal fats, pastured eggs, legit wild fish, and then fruits and vegetables as we know them now are nothing like nature intended. Bananas were small, they're living, they don't want to be eaten. They have defense mechanisms, toxins, oxalates, phytates, leptins, all this shit. Because everybody that promotes that vegetation shit, I'm like, okay, instead of going to the grocery store to get this shit, go live off the fucking land for a month. Okay, you're probably gonna die. Okay, it's not a species appropriate diet. It's that simple. Stop trying to argue this. If you do it for ethical reasons, I can respect that. But to say that eating vegetation is healthier and better for you than eating, what evolution and biology has dictated for us, you're just, can I say cunt?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You're a cunt.
Say whatever you want.
Okay, you're a cunt.
Yeah.
You're a fucking cunt. That's all you are.
Yeah.
And so this is back in Arnold's day, which is considered the golden era of bodybuilding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys didn't have access to nearly the amount of drugs and the training knowledge and equipment. But remember, when those guys got into contest shape, man, they were peeled. They looked amazing.
Yeah.
What their diet was? Their contest prep diet was? Steak and eggs.
Yeah.
No shit.
Hell yeah.
Which is brilliant. Red meat is a true superfood. There are over 25,000 different nutrients in red meat alone. Okay. And then the egg, I always like to say, nature doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Okay. I take that back. When I was doing my post-deployment, shrink thing, the psychiatrist told me I was a mistake in nature. Whatever. Yeah. Hey, how you feel? I'm like, I would go back and do it again, but this and that. But the egg is a perfect food. It's got a protein efficiency ratio of 100%. That yolk is loaded with so many nutrients that are so vital to, growth, hormone, and just everything. And so what do? They encourage people to throw the yolk away. I'm just like, it'd be like buying a fucking T-bone and throwing the fucking fillet and the strip away and then eating the fucking bone.
I love
people
it.
are just so
Yeah.
they've been so misled, so misguided, so lied to, and it's like getting them to unlearn this shit is so hard. But I'm like, the best way to do it is I'm like, okay, look at this person before and after the protocols I put them on. Okay, species appropriate diet, the proper kind of water, the proper kind of electrolytes. Because I'm big on doing like really hardcore elimination diets, a meat and water diet. Eliminate all the bullshit in your body, all the inflammation. Then we can start to titrate certain nutrients back in as needed. If people want to eat vegetables, I'm like, okay, let's add a little bit here and just, for a month, and let's just see how you feel. My business partner, she has really high sensitivities to certain foods, and she gets inflammation, joint pains, all kinds of stuff. Vegetables and certain fruits have that kind of effect on certain people, not everybody.
Right.
But you take, again, we've bastardized all these foods to where they're nothing like nature intended. And another thing I kind of propose to people, I'm like, can you find me a single naturally occurring food in nature that has proteins and carbs together? Can you guys think of anything that grows naturally with just proteins and carbs? Right?
No, yeah.
Now, what we do find naturally, the one place you will find all three macronutrients is mother's milk, mammalian milk, which has a very specific application for a very specific type of person for a very specific amount of time. After we're weaned, it's you could probably, I know some weirdo's probably going to corner some kind of breast milk fucking industry.
Cambodian breast milk.
I would try it if it's going to make me grow. I'll try it, but
Yeah,
it's
right.
another one of those things, and I'm just like, it kind of makes sense to me that I'm going to eat things as nature intended them. Now you'll get a lot of people that can eat any old way, not have any problems, not have any weight gain, not have any inflammation or systemic issues.
Lucky.
I always say, yeah, I'm like, hey, look, they lucked out. So what I do with people is I assume you have every fucking ailment in the book. You have fucking gout, you have goiter, you have lupus, you have this, you have that. We're going to put you on an extreme elimination diet and then titrate things back in to find what is optimal for you. Not what's optimal for this guy. Two of my teammates, these guys eat shit that would give a fucking bull elephant diabetes, okay? And they're both could step on a contest stage in a week. And I'm like, why on earth would I listen to those guys? They have no idea what they're doing. You know what I mean? So I start with kind of like the most extreme example possible and then go from there. Like all three of you guys will probably have different allergens, immuno responses to certain foods and stuff. But what I have never, ever seen once in all this time is somebody having any kind of allergic reaction or any kind of negative reaction to grass-fed beef, pasture-raised eggs, wild fish. It just doesn't happen because guess what? Those are the nutrients and fuels that our body evolved to use properly. They're bioavailable. Yeah, man. And when you eat that, it's like people are like, man, don't you get bored? It's a strange thing. It's like, I crave steak. I crave omelets. I crave a good giant chunk of wild salmon. I really don't crave junk. And once you get past that point and you're not a slave to your fucking, your appetite, man, it is such it's a huge load off your back, man. It's an incredible thing. That's like, my eating patterns don't dictate my life. Cause I used to be that, that bro scientist, it's like I'm in my lab under Mount Hood eating 8 times a day. Cause if I don't, I'm gonna fucking atrophy. And
calories,
just
bro.
like, holy shit. I was a miserable piece of shit. I couldn't go anywhere. Like when I was a range instructor, we couldn't eat in front of the recruits. So I'd put a steak in my pocket. And like, no shit. I'd turn my head. If a recruit looked at me, get your fucking eyeballs off me. I'm trying to eat a steak all low key and shit.
Good pocket steaks.
Dude,
Well,
pocket
the other hard part too
thing.
with like how everything is now is everything's getting more expensive. So like for instance, California out here, I was going to Albertsons the other
Gross.
day, and it was like just grass-fed beef, and it was 1 pound in a package, and it was like $36.
Phew.
Yes and no. So believe it or not, Walmart has a line of grass-fed beef. It's called like something market, blah, blah, blah. You can get 80%, 85%, 90, 93%. The most expensive one, I think, is $6.50 for a pound. Now I'll eat up to 2 pounds of beef a day. So if I can eat 2 pounds of grass-fed beef a day for $15, I think, here's my thing, fellas. Like, I don't have kids or anything, but if you were to ask, let's just say you ask, hypothetically, a guy that has a family, he's got a wife and kids, what's the most important thing in your life? Well, my family. Okay. Why isn't your health the most important thing in your life? Because without that, none of those other things really matter. You are not going to be the foundation your family needs, if they got to constantly tend to you because you're a metabolic mess or you got diabetes or any one of these numerous. 70% of Americans have some kind of metabolic disorder because of what they're eating.
So a couple years ago, I had this big lump on my back. I had hurt my back and I went up to almost 300 pounds just because I was eating junk and couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I have 2 kids and a wife, and I was like, fuck, man, I need to do something. So I started using kettlebells and went from 290 down to 250. Like right now I'm at 248. You know what I mean? So it's I'm maintaining, but I like to get down, but it was tough, man. But I had to do it because I want to be around for my kids. They're one's a teenager and one's 8, so they're getting up there. But
hey, you're the number one male figure in their life.
Yep.
And whether you recognize it or not, I'm sure you do. You're the first person they look up to, and a father's love is like no other. I had a good friend of mine on the department. He's going to die of a heart attack or a stroke, grossly overweight. He finally came to me and he's like, man, I need you to help me. I need you to train me this. I said, Brian, I'm so proud of you for doing this. He's like, I want to be here for my son. I said, all you got to do is show up. Well, he showed up about 4 times. Then he decided to start going to Planet Fitness. I'm like, well, brother, when I eulogize you, I'm just going to say, I fucking told you so. You gotta, I'm not the nice guy. Okay. And I do it for a reason because people are way too fucking coddled now.
Yep.
You train with me. Here's the thing. Leave your fucking phone in your bag. If you need to track shit, you write it down on a notebook. You don't need music. I'm going to be yelling and screaming and pushing you, because I'm like vehemently anti-phone in the gym because people will come up with they come up with a million excuses as to why you need it. I'm like, I was like, oh, that's great, but you're not just using it for this and that. You're watching dogs ride fucking surfboards on Instagram. You're swiping on one of your 500 dating apps. You're liking this, but you're doing that. Don't give me that shit. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna fucking squash it right there. Okay, if you can't focus, if you don't have the mental willpower to focus on your health for an hour, you don't need me. You need a fucking psychiatrist or a fucking. You need to go to rehab or something. You need to go to the Betty Ford Clinic. You know what I mean? That is so fucking pathetic how addicted people are to this shit. And plus, I don't want to wait. It's like every time I go to the gym, there's some fucking asshole or some fucking skanko with they got their tripod set up, their ring light and all this shit. I'm like, hey, weirdo, you're doing like the good girl machine. Who the fuck are you?
Hey, man,
the only thing you're influencing is, me to call you out on your improper technique, and these gyms do fuck all to squash that shit,
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then they post it online when they get like, they do the weirdo trap kind of thing. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah,
with Joey Swole.
Oh yeah, I like Joey, but I wish he was meaner.
Yeah,
I wish they would start doxing these fucking cocksuckers. I mean, like these girls that are just begging for attention, and then you get it, and you get all saying, "Get the fuck out of here!" Don't get your fallopian tubes all fucking twisted up because some guy that's not a 6'5" fucking thundercock had the audacity to look at you while you're spreading your fucking butthole, you know, for the world to see. You know what I mean? It drives me fucking nuts. You know, and I've gotten into them people in the gym before. I'm like, dude, you know, I mean, what's up, brother? I mean, you're just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it
I
drives
see a
me
lot of
fucking.
people warm up with selfies. You'll see them warm up with selfies in the mirror. I'm doing a selfie warm up. Hey man.
Well, I thought about mocking these douchebags by like bringing in like an old school VHS, you know, those giant record,
Yeah,
and like
big old
hire some fucking kid to hold like a light and a boom mic and shit, and you know,
that would be
mock
awesome.
these idiots.
Videos, dude.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, but it's something that I'm trying to pull people away from, because you're not working, dude. Okay, you're not fucking working hard. Okay, you're more worried about what's going on in your goddamn phone and inconveniencing people that are there to try. You know what I mean? It's you know, but gyms are businesses, and I get it. You know, I get it. If you say, hey, you know, you can't record here, blah blah blah, oh, I'll just go somewhere else. Well, fine, fucking see ya.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my end goal is to have a training facility where phones are strictly forbidden. You know, it's going to be like, you know, everybody says, oh, this is a hardcore. I'm like, you don't know what hardcore is, motherfucker. I trained in my garage in Missouri, you know, and sometimes single digit fucking cold with no air, no heat, you know, spiders, roly-polies, crickets. I think I had a bat in my fucking garage for a while.
Hell yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't want to hear your version of hardcore is a fucking walk in the park, punk. You know, but every little nuance I do has a very specific purpose. I am getting you to rely on yourself again. And guess what? When you fail or fall, I'm right here to pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do for each other. I you know, none of us really know each other. I'd give any one of you guys the last dollar in my wallet or the shirt off of my back just because you're veterans and I know what you guys have been through. You know, it's just something that's lost in all this fucking whack ass gym culture now. You know, it's bitch shit. They don't train hard. They don't work hard. You know, I'm 46 years old. I'm still smashing dudes half my fucking age, you know, in the gym, whether it's in the weights, fucking jujitsu, fighting, you know, like, you want a piece of the old man? Come get it. come on and
Mike right here.
Come get some. You know, I'm gonna fucking push your shit in.
Hell yeah. So you were talking about like red meats and everything. What are your takes on like chicken and turkey? Like the leaner meats.
You've heard I don't believe in lean meat. I think it's very what I do is I push nutrient density. A 4-ounce piece of fatty red meat has 10 times the amount of nutrients, micronutrients, fats, proteins than a 4-ounce fucking chicken breast, where, you know, some poor fucking chicken that probably has cancer and fucking the clap is eating fucking chicken shit and soy pellets. You remember when growing up, you are what you eat?
Yeah.
Well, it's more to the point, it's you are what you assimilate. Okay. And it's like, you know, a good, you know, it's kind of a cheesy cliche metaphor, but it's like putting different types of fuel into a high performance machine. Okay. Right. When we're eating a species appropriate diet, when we're getting the proper rest, recovery, when you're mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on point, you are functioning optimally. Why would I compromise any of that? You know what I mean? So you're lean chicken. If you're going to eat chicken, eat the dark meat with the skin on it. If you're going to eat turkey, eat that fucking leg, you know? But that's why I push red meat so much, is because of the nutrient density, L-carnitine, creatine, zinc, conjugated linoleic, all these things are heavily, and then you got, I'm not shitting you, 25,000 types of and they're identifying more and more. And more than anything, it's just the natural order of that corny circle of life shit. But it's a legit thing, you know. So ideally, if everything was perfect, we would be getting and I'm not a supplement guy either, because listen, I went through that supplement shit for 25 years. I bet you I spent every bit of $75,000 on supplements. And guess what? I'm only 175 fucking pounds.
Right.
Okay. A supplement, the word alone suggests that you're supplementing something that's missing in your diet.
I spend so much money on pre-workout, dude. Fucking
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't do pre-workout because a lot of what I do is very highly glycolytic, very high intensity. So,
right.
Not very long. I mean, like prowler presses or prowler pushes, prowler
the
drags.
low caffeine. I use the low caffeine if I do if I'm gonna do cardio, I'll do the lower caffeine stuff. But if I'm gonna go lift, I'll use the higher caffeine. Like I think I use like Rise supplements.
Yeah, I like their energy drinks actually. But my thing with pre-workouts is I would say this: if somebody, hey, what would you recommend? I'd be like, sleep more. If you need a pre-workout, you're not well rested. And sleep is the most important and overlooked aspect. Everybody wants, oh, dude, you heard this new pre-workout fucking baby head smasher, blah, 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 1,000. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's a piece of shit. I'm like, what's impressive? You sleep in 8 hours a fucking night, getting deep REM restorative sleep, but it's not glamorous, It's not one of those things that people are like, oh, I'm like, I have horrible sleep issues, so I don't look for pre-workouts. I'm like, please make something that will knock out a fucking elephant so I can sleep properly.
The ZMA stuff, have you ever tried that? The ZMA?
I have tried everything under the sun. I'm not shitting you. It's when I was in Vegas, I went to this store and got one, and I was super excited to try it. So I fucking take it, and I'm just lying there. I'm like, another one. Fuck, another $40 down the fucking drain. But what happens is this over-reliance on stimulants you get you into the big negative feedback loop, okay? Raises our cortisol, raises your anxiety levels. It fucks with your, the kind of sleep you need. So when you wake up the next day and you're groggy, and what I do, boom, I medicate with more, and you just, and caffeine withdrawals and caffeine addiction is a real thing. So the foundation of my program, number one, is fucking sleep. And then right above that, right there with that, is a species appropriate diet. Then because you can get all kinds of results. The training is the easy part and the fun part. Right. And there's so many different ways to train, and I change my training up a lot. There's times where I just do 2 working sets, to close to failure. Then there's times where I just really push mentally, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to carry these 100-pound kettlebells, the equivalent of 1,000 fucking yards. That's a gut check. I believe in training your mental strength too.
That's a hell of a farmer's carry, dude.
Oh, well, dude, I've done 405 for 60 feet. But the hundreds, I like the independent arms because it's, and you'll get these weirdos that, well, if you stand on a Bosu ball and balance an egg on your fucking nose, and I'm like, bro, stop overcomplicating the shit, okay? It's not the basics done properly. They work. They always will work, Do loaded carries, work your body's natural movement patterns. Look for the exercises that provide the most mechanical tension. Certain body parts respond better to stretches under load, like your chest. When I really reduced the weight on I was handling the 100-pound dumbbells on inclines, but my chest wasn't growing. Okay. And no girl ever, like I helped a kid the other day. He's like doing like the worst technique with lateral raise. He's like taking the 35s and kind of doing like he's a fucking like he's flashing people. He's like going, whoa. I was like, hold on, brother. I said, let me see them. I go and grab the 10s, and I said, I'm going to make you, I said respectfully, I'm going to make you look like a bitch with these things, but you're going to do them right, and your delts are going to grow. And I had him do them the right. I said, listen, no girl has ever dropped their panties because a guy could do 30 fucking pound lateral raises. Nobody fucking cares. Okay, so let's do it right. And so I've identified, the sagittal plane, the frontal plane, all these movement patterns. You can build a very, very solid physique. And we all have different genetic limitations and potential. And putting them through the proper mechanical tension, and it's very simple. And most of my workouts don't last any more than 40, 45 minutes. And what the fuck were we talking about? I just want. Sorry, I went off on a.
We have a question from the comments. It's somebody. It's DTT Pod Network on Twitch. He's asking, how would a diabetic go about working out and eating?
One of my here, I'm going to teach everybody a very valuable lesson in humility. Old teammate of mine is diabetic, and I was like, that is one disease I wish I had, because he's eating whatchamacallits and all this. I'm like, you can't fucking tell me that you're not glad that you have fucking diabetes. Oh, well, I'm like, Tim, you eat fucking candy bars, you eat fucking pancakes, and you're fucking jacked and ripped. So, but that is a question that I'm going to say. I don't think it has any effect on your training, but diet wise, I'm going to say, listen, I would be very reluctant to give somebody that has diet. Now, if it's type 2 diabetes, that can be actually reversed and eliminated by eating properly. If it's the other kind, I guess type 1, I don't know. So I'm going to say, but I would wager that your training probably shouldn't be affected by having diabetes, unless sometime during your training, if your blood sugar drops. So you might have to be one of those guys that has to have, like, dextrose or something, a very simple, very fast acting, glucose agent on hand to keep your blood sugar. Yeah, I mean, Pop-Tart, whatever these fucking weirdos are eating. As far as training goes, though, my buddy, he trained like everybody else. Yeah, but it's when it comes to training, I think people, for one, they overcomplicate it. Two, they do way too much shit. Yeah. Focus on a couple of exercises very intensely. Not everything has to be worked through a full range of motion. Some muscles respond better to shortened ranges of motion. But the beauty is, it's like, okay, there's times where I'll do like a really heavy loaded stretch, on a pull down or a pull up. And there's times where I'll keep a little bit of constant tension on it. It's like, why not get the best of both worlds? I mean, there's a little bit of untapped potential in either one of those protocols. But when for the chest, when I reduced the weight and started arching the chest and coming down with my chest, boom, it's really started to grow. So my biggest thing is, it's just like, let's not let our egos, dictate. Are we training for strength? Are we training for physique? What are we training for? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
okay, cool. That was a great answer to the question.
Yeah, a long.
Yeah, I'm just looking. If I don't know if I'm not 1,000% sure in the response, I will let you know, because I would never want to give somebody advice that might harm them in some way. I don't believe in that. And I think a lot of people should take a cue from that. If I don't know the fucking answer, I'll tell you I don't know. But I'm glad you brought it up, because now it's something I know I need to study.
You're gonna go find it.
Yeah.
So we'll check back with you in a week. We'll check back with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give me a week.
So talking about, obviously you're a veteran owned company and stuff like that. To other people out there that might be listening or will listen to this about other veteran companies, like what other companies have you? Not even a company, but other programs or other stuff for veterans that you've seen that have helped people, or success stories or anything like that?
There, so the nonprofit I came from, we had an awesome dream and an awesome vision. That's called Team Victory. I think he's probably still doing it. We were doing free gym memberships, free nutritional stuff. I believe in training, and nutrition is the best drug there is. Okay. I've been through, and another thing that I think is so important, and I'm going to give a shout out to a guy named Tom Satterley. Tom is a retired Delta Force Command Sergeant Major. Okay. The ultimate badass. Okay. There's a character in Black Hawk Down based on him. And I've met him a couple times. I wouldn't say we're friends. I guess maybe an acquaintance. I've worked for he used to be a part of a company called Asymmetric Solutions, which is like all, tier 1, tier 2 retired guys that put on some really high speed training. And we used to be able to train with them. Well, Tom, I was out in California few years ago, and I always like to read books on flights because I'm too stupid to figure out how to connect into the Wi-Fi or whatever. And the last time I brought a dirty magazine on, the fucking flight attendant took it from me. So I get so I'm at Barnes and Noble, and I see a book that Tom had written. I was like, holy shit. I said, I know this guy, and it's called All Secure. So it was about, you know, his childhood, and it reflects like
he was just on the Matt Ryan podcast, not too
Sean
long
Ryan.
ago. Sean Ryan.
Yeah. Dude, his stories are so cool.
Oh yeah.
And if you know his story and his wife, man, it's so you know, all of us have read all these military books, and it's like they're so cliche, they're so full of shit. And I'm just like, oh, I know how this is gonna end. I know you didn't say that. I know you didn't do this. And so I'm reading Tom's, and the most poignant point I took from Tom's is he showed some real vulnerability about his alcoholism, about being addicted to painkillers, failed relationships, failed marriages, you know, very difficult connecting with his son and stuff. And I'm like, this is a guy, you know, this is the ultimate badass showing that is true courage and strength, and that can't be overstated. Anybody can act fucking tough, you know. And so I realized when we started our thing, it's like, look, I'm gonna have to be really open about my struggles too. You know, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. You know, I have other vices which will go unnamed here. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of vices, women, but nail biting. So, you know, the police work had a more profound effect on me than the military or the war ever did. Okay, the shit you see as a policeman or as an EMS or a paramedic, you know, their side of the aisle, man, car accidents, dead children. I mean, I've seen it all, man. And I hate to be that guy that sounds, you know, just kind of trotting out all these. Listen, I've seen dead kids. I've seen dead elderly, you know, shit that's just heartbreaking that you will never, ever, ever forget. You know, I when I was 7, my younger brother died of cancer, and I'll never forget that. You know, I mean, it's like I can remember like it was yesterday how devastating that was to my family, to my parents. And to have been on, you know, so many shootings and murders and homicides I can't even keep track of anymore. You carry that stuff with you, man. And then all the violent shit that I've done, and it's a fucking monster, because when that shit gets its claws in, you don't want to do anything else. Like, you know, like Hemingway said, there's no hunting like the hunting of man. I don't want to go sit in a deer stand with electric socks waiting for some buck to come up to a salt block. You know, I want to go hunt violent motherfuckers, and I want to kill them, or I want to take them into custody, you know, and you fucking crave that shit, man. But yeah, the thing with Tom was just showing such vulnerability for such a badass. I was like, I have to do that too, so people will feel okay being like, hey, I know what you're going through. I'm like, yeah, I slept with my Glock next to my bed for years, right by my fucking head. And guess what? It wasn't for fucking bad, guys. You know, it was for when I couldn't take it anymore, because I didn't see any way out. And I said, you know what? My mom died of cancer a few years ago. And I said, I'm going to keep pushing forward for my mom. And I'm going to keep pushing forward for all the people that need help that I can relate to. And so I think that's the core statement of our mission, because my business partner, Stacy, she's 100% rated disability from the Air Force, and she's had her own, you know, traumatic life experiences.
Prior security forces, correct? From what I read. Right?
No, she was a combat controler.
Oh, combat controller.
Oh, that's cool.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
I was gonna say.
She was transgender. I forget. And forgive me because I forget exactly what she did, but she works at Scott Air Force Base now, and she's just fucking brilliant. She's awesome. Like 95% of the business aspect behind our thing. Does I basically design the shirts, and I'm a high pressure salesman. She is invaluable to me as a business partner, to a friend, and to, you know, just as a human being, man. She's just absolutely fucking incredible.
Talking about the
So-
Sean Ryan podcast, I forget his name that was on there, but it kind of hit home when I heard it. But
She said readiness and emergency management. I think that was her that just posted.
Oh, I guess
Look
she's
out
listening.
there.
Hey, Stacy, if you're listening, sorry, I forgot what you did. I didn't want to
You can come on
minimize it. I know it was
sometime.
really important.
But it kind of hit home, and it made me realize, like, holy shit, like I feel that way. But he said every veteran, it doesn't matter what branch you got out of or you went into and whatnot, but there's always a point where like you're like, I want to get out, I'm tired of this. But it's when you get out, the worst thing for a veteran is you suffer loss, a loss of camaraderie, loss of a job. You did something for like 10 years, that's all you know what to do, and now you're on your own. You lose it all, and loss is the biggest problem that a lot of veterans face. And it kind of hit home because when I got out, like, I lost that. Like, I was really good friends with people, and then I never talked to them ever again. And it was like that camaraderie was gone. Until where I started working now, and it was like I met Red and I met Blackbeard, and like I got that camaraderie back. Even though we weren't working on airplanes anymore, I got that sense of camaraderie back, and we've kept it ever since.
Again, it goes back to Marcus Aurelius. What is its nature? Human beings, by our nature, we want to belong. We want that sense of community and camaraderie. And I went through something recently that tore my fucking heart out, man. It hurt like a motherfucker when guys that I have been through fucking hell with basically abandoned me, you know, and other guys in the unit said the same thing. You know, when we reconnected, I apologized to one of them. I was like, man, I didn't understand it, and I'm sorry that I dropped the ball. And it hurts, you know, guys you've been in gunfights with, guys that you fucking have seen death with, guys that you've done some super violent shit with, and to feel like you never existed there, that hurts. You know, I'm a tough motherfucker, but that one got me in the fucking gut, man. And I want to rebuild that. And the thing, like the gym culture thing, like another reason I'm so like vehemently opposed to phones is like, I was lucky enough to be around when you went to the gym and it was like an event. I mean, hey, there's 8 of us fucking squatting today. We're all doing 405 to the basement. That was an event. People watching you and shit. Now, you know, you could be deadlifting 800 pounds for reps and some fucking bozo sitting next to you be, you know, slumped over his phone, like, you know, again, like watching dogs ride surfboards and shit. And I'm just like, there's no community, there's no culture, there's no camaraderie. And for people like us that have been there and we know how valuable that is, you miss it, you know, and that's something we're trying to do is build that. This isn't about making money and getting rich for us. It's about rebuilding so many vital things that are just so lost in society now. You know, all this, you know, rugged individualism. Okay, bro. So you did CrossFit and a Tough Mudder. Motherfucker, you know, you've never been to a
bro.
Yeah, that, you know what? Hey, if that piece of shit's listening, listen, you fucking asshole. I went to bat for you, and I said, it's very possible that you could be natural. And come to find out, you're on like 1,000 milligrams of Tren every other fucking day. Gee, I mean, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Piss, dude.
Your protein is overpriced. You owe me money, you jack off. But yeah, it's just all those things, and you know, and people don't ever stop to put 2 and 2 together. Man, why am I so unfulfilled? Why am I sad? Why does my heart feel empty? Why am I so anxious? Because you're missing out on all these things that make us fucking humans, dummy. Okay? You know, you don't eat properly. You don't train properly. You don't respect. And listen, I'm as guilty as anybody. You know, and Stacy was probably Stacy and one of my old teammates are the 2 people that got me through this shit, man. Nobody else did. Okay? It wasn't my family. It wasn't anybody else. 2 people that I am forever indebted to got me out of the deepest, darkest hole I've ever fucking been at, you know, and having, you know, I don't need a bunch of friends. I just need real friends, you know, people I know that, hey, if I fucking stumble and fall, they're going to pick me up. And they did, you know, they did.
I'm glad you kind of like pointed at that, because that the whole goal around this podcast was not for us to like get big and make a bunch of money and stuff. Is when Red and I were first talking, when we first met each other.
Speak for yourself.
Well, when Red and I first met each other, it was you know, there's nothing really out there for, and yeah, everybody dogs in the Air Force, but there's nothing out there for like Air Force mechanics that worked on the flight line and do this stuff. Like we're a place where we can talk about like similar stories and crazy stuff that goes on and the stupid things or the horrible things that we've experienced. And I think when it really hit home is when we had like he's a co-host every now and then when little Mikey came on and he, you know, talked to us offline and was
shout out little Mikey.
Like, you know, I'm really glad you guys are doing this because I've been, you know, I've had a lot of bad thoughts in my life lately. But getting to talk to you guys and talk about old things that I used to do and reminisce and like share experiences and be able to talk to people that understand exactly the stresses and the problems we went through on the flight line and maintenance and stuff like that. And it's nothing compared to combat, but a couple of us have been deployed and we experienced different things downrange. You know, and being able to talk about that, he was like he's doing so much better. I mean, I've seen they're trying to buy a house now, you know, his wife's back and like they're doing so much better. And
I'm not the guy that would trivialize anybody's experiences. Okay. Yeah. Not everybody's been in a gunfight. Not everybody's, you know, experienced combat or life and death. It's okay. There's enough, you know, everyday shitty life stuff that can affect you. You know, I can't relate to you guys. I don't know. What I can do is be empathetic and sympathetic and be like, hey, you know, we come from the same kind of background, but we just have different experiences. But I would never in a million years trivialize anybody's shit. It's just that's somebody's ego, you know, kind of taking over. Oh, you don't know what it's like. I'm like, I don't know what it's like to suck a dick either.
Have you ever seen an airplane?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an airplane?
Have I? No, I'm just a caveman, brother. I've never seen a fucking.
No, I mean any airplane.
I always thought they were pterodactyls.
Any airplane, anywhere. Boom, then you can relate. See airplanes. That's all we do. We look at airplanes.
I will say this. I've been on airplanes enough to really, really, really. God bless you guys that keep those things maintained and flying. Because anytime I hit, a tiny pocket of turbulence, or if I hear a weird noise, I'm like, we're fucking going down. You know, I hate flying. It's so fucking uncomfortable. They seem to get smaller. The chairs don't even recline anymore. The only thing that can make flying worse is if there was a bunch of fucking spiders on the airplane or something like that. That's the only thing that can make it worse. I like snakes. Fucking spiders. Fuck that.
You ever seen the shiny duct tape that people freak out about?
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, that guy's putting the shiny duct tape on there. Can't believe that.
Looking good. Go ahead and just duct tape that fuselage back on.
Yeah.
Just send it.
Yeah, it's
I may or may not throw a roll somewhere.
I couldn't do what you guys did, man. I don't have any, you know, it's a super high level of knowledge. It's very impressive. You know, and then with war is not symmetrical anymore. It's asymmetrical. You know, we got you get cooks, motor T people that end up with combat action badges and have been, you know, a guy I deployed with went back again with another unit and he was like some kind of, you know, grease monkey bullshit. They got hit with IEDs, you know, they got ambushed and they had to fight their way out of it. You know, you don't have to be the infantry. You don't have to be a pilot. You know, this is asymmetrical warfare.
That I mean, talking like people like, oh, well, you deployed. And I was like, no, I went to Afghanistan. I was in Bagram. But even though I was in the Air Force, like I worked during the night shift. That was like prime time for them to shoot rockets and mortars at you because they couldn't see you. And you're trying to do this job right now. And you're trying to explain to like your young airman or your young troop, like this is normal every day back home. But imagine doing this and you start hearing the sirens and you hear the rockets and you hear the wind behind the rockets and you hear the explosions like 20 feet behind you. It's like it hits a lot differently. Like it doesn't.
I'm getting shot at right now. I'm taking fire right now, dude. You don't know. Yeah. I'm getting shot at right now. No, that's huge. Like people. A guy deployed with his dad was over he was retired Army, went back as a contractor, got killed in a mess hall from a mortar strike. You know, these fucking idiots, they have like zero skill. They run up, fire their fucking mortar and fucking bail out. You know, they're fucking coward scum. But that one landed in a mess hall and killed his fucking dad. You know, I mean, we didn't, where we were at, I didn't get mortared. It didn't get rocket attacks. There was no like, sporadic gunfire or anything. Doing the route security, and that's where you'd run into your problems if you're going to run into them. But yeah, that's I couldn't imagine the anxiety of that. So yeah, man, you never trivialize somebody's experience. Oh, you were in the Air Force, it must have been easy. Well, actually,
Yeah.
there's that.
Chairs, a lot of chow halls.
So we
A lot of good hotels.
Funny chow hall story. We were in Ali Al Salim. Air Force had a chow hall on top of this hill. We were sneaking between these giant boulders instead of walking all the way out of our compound. And some Air Force guys were watching us on infrared and said, if you keep sneaking through there, we're probably, you're likely to get shot. I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck because you guys got T-bone steak and lobster tails.
Right?
And I don't want to walk 3 miles just to get a well done fucking steak. So fucking shoot me.
I love that chow hall. I went there many times.
Oh, that place was legit, dude. Snapples, T-bones, and lobster tails on Sunday.
I will say, in Afghanistan at Bagram, every Friday was surf and turf. We had lobster and steak.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best, but we had it.
Our mess hall was like basically cat food grade tuna salad that had so many flies on it. We just started calling them raisins.
Delicious.
It's like, it's tuna salad with fucking. So those flies would fly. These flies had it made. There was a big fucking. There's a bug like a giant fucking like human excrement lagoon, 50 yards from our fob.
Poop pond.
So these motherfuckers would go over there, eat fucking shit all day, come land on the fucking tuna salad, eat tuna salad, and then go, dude. Oh fuck, dude. I just started basically living on about 3 pounds of jerky a day. Like my teeth were almost falling out from all the fucking sodium and shit. Oh, dude, it was miserable. But that's the experience I wanted, man. I wanted to go over there and I wanted to be a fucking soldier. I wanted to live in the dirt. I wanted to do the fucking grunt life, man. I didn't want all the amenities and shit. And I got it.
Hungry, doesn't
it? Well, it's just like I know, like. I always look to suffer somehow, some way, every day. Last night, I got home really late from working downtown, fucking cold out. I'm really fucking tired, blah, blah. I still went outside and did my kettlebell swings, because we have it way too easy now. I mean, you can lay at home in your fucking skivvies. Okay. You can fire up your phone and within an hour you can have some unemployed deadbeat deliver you anything you want from the fucking Chinaman.
Yeah,
you download a dating. You can download a dating app and have some fucking harlot come over. We're too fucking soft, man. We're softer than fucking baby shit. That's why really not a lot gets to me when it comes to physical discomfort or a lot of certain things piss me off. Traffic, a couple other things I still pop off and lose my shit over. But when it comes to physical discomfort, fuck, bro, I walk through fucking anything. That's why I wrestle. That's why I do fighting. That's why I fucking push my fucking comfort zone way out of my comfort zone. It's because it makes life that much fucking easier. But I appreciate all these things now because I don't fucking just constantly take advantage of all the easy shit. Everybody's living life on easy mode. And it's just like, that just fucking rots you. You're decaying and you're rotting. You don't even know it.
Yeah.
I get made fun of because people make fun of me because I buy DVDs. I'm like, all right, you bougie motherfucker. I don't have like 18, streaming services. And holy, go fuck yourself. I got a VHS. Stacy bought me a fucking VHS player. I think it's the coolest thing ever.
Those are still rad, especially if you got the old school Ace Ventura. VHS
I saw a VHS at a yard sale the other day, and my daughter was like, "What is this thing?" And I was like, "You have no idea."
It's like always ask me, "What's a VCR?"
It's like the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he finds the golden fucking head, and we're like looking at it like this, going like, "Okay, I got to replace it with a bag of sand that weighs the same as the VHS player." They don't get it, man. They don't get it. But the sad thing is, they'll never appreciate a fucking thing because they have access to everything all the time. Mm-hmm. So, sadly, the joke's on them.
Well, we hate to cut it short because Red has a job and he has to get going here soon. But
I have to go be a janitor.
Clean up the shit.
well, wanted to really thank you for coming on. It's been great. We'd love to have you back again for sure. Maybe you and Stacy at one point.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We just I'd like to talk about the project. We had a conference call last night with a company that's formulating a ready to drink coffee for us that's gonna just
Dude, that's
boost
awesome.
our again, by veterans for veterans. Everything we do is designed to help people that need it, guys from our background. And I mean, listen, bro, I would help anybody. I grew up properly. I was raised properly. I have a very kind heart. I might look like a scumbag, and I am in a lot of ways. But man, at the end of the day, I believe in being a very fucking good human being and setting an example for, the people behind us. And so, I would love to, man. I really appreciate your guys' time, man. It was a blast. And just let me know when you guys are ready to do it again.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
if you're also out this way, hit us up too. So, I mean, we're in Southern California. If you ever come out this way, let us know.
The great.
Probably won't,
Listen,
but let us know.
there's a burrito shop in Del Mar called Cotillas that is so good that I thought about flying out there just to go there. You can't get a proper burrito for the life of me. I don't understand why these idiots can't figure it out. But I'm like, bros, you guys have no idea. The one thing California has going for it are the fucking burritos.
Yes.
Well, even if you're in Vegas, it's only like a 2 or 3 hour drive for a
3 hour
couple of us,
drive.
so
Yeah.
let us know. I mean, we'd love to tag up and meet you in person, but we'll talk for more, for sure, more offline and stuff like that. But maybe help us get on our feet with some, merch and like how you guys went about it. We would love to learn for sure. But it's been great. And anybody commenting that wants to know, look up his website's right there. We'll post it all over our Facebook page. I'm sure I'll buy some shirts and some hoodies here soon too. And
awesome, yeah. Thanks, guys.
Might see.
We really
might see a couple of us
everything.
wearing
All that
soon.
money goes right back into building the business, building the brand, and getting the word out there. I have a really cool line of jiu-jitsu shirts that have been really
Sick.
really well received, and we're, like I said,
Are they-
we're using those funds to get people into the BJJ classes and stuff like that.
Are they
It's been
rash
the
guards
biggest.
or are they just? Or they
No,
just,
those are I've had a lot of people ask about rash guards. That's something we're expanding. Right now it's t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, stickers. We're gonna have, we're gonna do the rash guards. We're gonna have tank tops. We're gonna have penis pumps.
Awesome.
We're gonna have.
yeah,
Kidding. I'm totally kidding about the rash guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be
You're
like Kiss. Whatever
Yeah,
the fuck it is, we're
everything.
gonna have our label on it. Kiss. We're gonna have tier 1 coffins, tier 1 fucking coffee. Everything.
Tier 1 anal beads.
Tier 1 condoms,
Anal
you
beads,
roll it out and it's got your logo right on it.
We've all been sodomized by the military so many
Yeah.
times. We might as well
The
come up with
green
like tier 1
weenie.
butt plugs.
You probably sell out.
It's a butt plug / kettlebell, man. 2 birds,
There you
1
go.
stone.
That's
Cody
awesome.
will take 3 of those.
Cody's probably gonna buy it. He's gonna buy you out, dude.
Yeah.
We'll need a test market, so let me know.
That's great.
Well, thanks again,
Awesome.
everybody. It's been great. Thanks for coming on the show, Chad. It's always a pleasure,
Yeah.
and we'll definitely have you,
Awesome.
Stacy, on in the future for sure. And more.
All right, brothers. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for your service to this fucking country, man.
Thank
You
you,
too.
guys.
Hell yeah. Chuck's
All
out,
right,
bro.
guys.
Wait, who's
Yeah.
pulling Chuck?
Talk to you soon.
Later, man.
See ya.
Who's pulling Chucks today? Who's pulling Chucks?
You. Right
Me?
there.
You want me to pull Chucks?
Pull 'em.
Usually Fab is here to pull Chucks. I don't know where that Warthog is. He said he was going to jump on. Maybe he's watching us, being like, "Oh,
No.
I'm jealous."
No, he's not that.
No.
No.
Yeah, you missed out. You missed out. You can you could save the Warthog right now if you've seen him. Save him.
Missing. Still missing.
Save him. Still missing. You guys. All right. Hey,
Love you
thanks for
guys.
joining us. Thanks for joining us on our show, commenting, loving
Yes.
us. Cody,
Well, Cody,
and,
I love you, even though
Cody,
you dislike me.
Justin,
Martin, Stacy.
Mittens, Let's see. Stacy.
Double Trouble Podcast
DTT
Network.
Pod Network. Yeah, that's badass. Thank you. You follow us anywhere, everywhere. Podcast or broadcast.
Jonathan David Jones, Fat Nut.
Oh, Jonathan David Jones. that dude was a good dude.
Yeah, he
back
was on
then
there.
in the 31st. Love you, bro. I miss your face.
Who? Where? Let me see.
Jonathan David Jones.
Justin Hendrick. Do we know that guy?
Yeah, it's from Alaska.
Justin Hendrick. He commented as well.
Yeah,
Woo!
brother.
All right, guys, we're out of here.
All right.
All right,
Love
thanks,
you guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Go to our Patreon. $5. $5. You get stuff. $5. Okay, bye.
And you
Bye.
get free stuff sent to you.
Bye.
Free stuff sent to you. $5. Bye.
Bye. Bye.